Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the press conference of Foreign Minister Schallenberg and Foreign Minister Attaf. Foreign Minister Schallenberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear Minister, dear Ahmed, it's a great pleasure to welcome you here in Austria and in Vienna. And it might be the first visit of an Algerian foreign minister in over 10 years, but it says actually little about the quality of our bilateral relations. Last year we celebrated 60 years of diplomatic relations between Algeria and Austria, and our countries, both our countries, can look back on a long and valuable history of cooperation. And we are close partners, if I think, for instance, of our engagement in multilateralism, disarmament, non-proliferation, and the banning of nuclear weapons. So there are many, many strong points, and we have strong economic ties. You are the fourth biggest export destination for Austria and on the African continent, and we want to expand this cooperation. It will be a major topic of our conversation afterwards, how we can actually elaborate and strengthen and deepen our economic relations. And one of the important parts in our economic relations are obviously our energy relations. You are a very reliable and important source and partner for oil imports in Austria. But we're also looking into the future. If I think about the South H2 corridor, that's 3,300 kilometers of pipeline that should be converted to transport green hydrogen. It's a common project between Germany, Italy, Austria, and Algeria, and I believe that is the way for the future in both our countries. But what I always say, our policies are very easy. We want more exchange, more commerce, more trade, more of everything actually. And one thing that brings us together also is a fight against illegal immigration. And we value very much the work you are doing, which has contributed to reducing the crossings over the Central Mediterranean route by around 60%. And you are not only a destination, you're a transit country, but also a destination country. So here we have a common interest of strengthening our cooperation. But obviously, and we started our discussion today, we, both of us, as any other foreign minister, we are confronted with a series of crisis moments around this planet, reaching from the series of coups d'etat in the Sahel-Region, Gaza, the Middle East, to the ongoing war in Ukraine. And we feel the effects, not only economic effects, but we feel them around the globe. And it goes beyond economics. It also is the heartbreaking humanitarian or human suffering that we have to have to see and witness, be it in the Middle East or in Ukraine. And it's always a civilian population that carries the brunt of these conflicts. And especially the situation in Gaza is extremely worrying. Israel has the right of self-defense. There's no doubt there. But this right of self-defense has to be used within the limits of international humanitarian law. For Austria, international law is the very basis of everything. And the humanitarian situation in Gaza is heartbreaking and catastrophic. Austria has provided already 34 million euros in humanitarian aid, and we will remain engaged. And I always say and repeatedly said it, in Ramallah, in Tel Aviv, in all the neighboring countries, there's no hierarchy in human suffering. You cannot outweigh the trauma of one people by creating traumas with other people. So this is the extremely difficult situation we have here. And I add to it, there can be no river from the river to the sea, nor for the one side, nor for the other side. Both sides have to understand that neither the Israelis nor the Palestinians will ever disappear into thin air. So I believe here we have a common goal of creating a political process that can lead to a valuable, sustainable, sovereign Palestinian state. That's the only, and I only see the prospect of a negotiated solution, to have the people to break out of this cycle of violence and have Israelis and Palestinians living peacefully and in security side by side. And I simply want to stop by saying that you are for us an indispensable partner. It's always a treat to talk to you. Very interesting. C'est un vrai plaisir de parler avec vous. You're an anchor of stability in an unstable and challenging neighborhood. And over lunch we will discuss the situation in Mali, Niger and other places where we are extremely thankful for your active engagement, for the ideas you bring to the table, for your pushing, for keeping channels of dialogue open. So thank you again for being here. Warm welcome, and I believe this is a starting point for strengthening our partnership in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister and dear friend Alexander. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me start by expressing my sincere thanks to Minister Alexander Schallenberg for his kind invitation, as well as for the fruitful consultations that we have already had today. It is for me a great pleasure and distinct honor to undertake this official visit, which bears witness to our willingness and to our commitment to preserve and further nurture the historic relations between our two countries. Austria has always been and continues to be one of our privileged partners due to our bonds of cooperation that are deeply rooted in a solid ground of trust, confidence, and shared interests. Given its central position in the European continent, its active role within the European Union, as well as its pivotal place in the world of multilateral diplomacy, as a host of the Vienna chapter of the United Nations, and to other important international organizations, Austria has always had a very specific position in Algeria's partnerships. 2 years ago, we have celebrated the 60th anniversary since the establishment of the diplomatic relations between our two countries. Today, we are thoroughly reviewing the state of these relations and explore possibilities and the opportunities for achieving higher levels of economic cooperation and political coordination. We both agree, I think, that the current levels of trade and investment between our two countries do not really reflect the huge potential that exists for partnership and cooperation. In this regard, I briefed Minister Alexander Schallenberg on the process of economic renewal that Algeria is currently going through under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune. A process that has created enormous opportunities in many areas that we both consider as priority areas for our bilateral cooperation. This includes notably the fields of renewable energies, agriculture, railways, industries, water resources, pharmaceutical, and many other sectors in which my country has recently launched structural projects that can be promoted jointly with our Austrian partner. In this context, our two countries have embarked together with Italy, as you have mentioned, and Germany on an ambitious project for the development, transport, and marketing of green hydrogen. Algeria attaches great importance to that project, known as the South H2 corridor, which will connect North Africa to the heart of Europe, with the aim of reducing both regions' dependence on non-renewable sources of energy. We both express satisfaction at the agreement reached recently between our two departments in charge of energy to conclude a memorandum of understanding on renewable energies that will undoubtedly open new prospects for our political cooperation in this area. Mindful of the various opportunities for cooperation and partnership, our role as representatives of our two governments is to ensure that the institutional mechanisms and the legal framework are fit for the purpose that we want to achieve, which is that of giving a new momentum to our bilateral relations. In this regard, Mr. Minister, I think that we can agree on the need to finalize negotiations over 7 bilateral agreements that are currently under consideration. We have also envisaged the importance of activating the Joint Business Council, which we hope will be the driving force in enhancing the economic cooperation between Algeria and Austria. Having said that, our consultations today have also covered a wide range of political issues and will continue to cover more of similar issues during the lunch. These issues are of common interest and shared concern to our two countries. We have reviewed and exchanged views about the crisis situations prevailing mainly in the Middle East, where Gaza is undergoing unspeakable and unwarranted pain and suffering, and is confronted to mass killings and destructions on an unprecedented scale. We share the same concerns about all these crises and conflicts. We also share the same attachment to international law and to the principles enshrined in the United Nations Charter. I sincerely believe that in these troubled times, the entire humanity is in great need of the UN to continue to guide us and to show us the way forward. From its current position in the Security Council, I can assure you that Algeria will continue to advocate for the essential and vital role of the United Nations, which, in our view, is indispensable and irreplaceable. Finally, we have discussed the partnership between Algeria and the European Union, and we will continue to do the same over the lunch. To say the least, the recent developments witnessed in this regard have emphasized the need to have a genuine dialogue with our European friends with a view to reinvigorating our efforts towards building a balanced partnership, a partnership that is truly respectful of the vital interests of each party, and a partnership that fully takes into account Algeria's aspirations in terms of economic development as its major concern as a reliable, responsible, and trustworthy partner of the European continent. Thank you once again, Mr. Minister.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ministers. Are there any questions at this point? At the Austrian Press Agency, Martin Richter.
Minister Schallenberg, you mentioned the fight against illegal migration as one field of cooperation with Algeria. Do you think it's in the interest of Austria and the EU to have a similar deal as with, for example, Tunisia or Lebanon in this field?
Well, Austria has always spoken in favor, and since our presidency already of the European Union in 2018, of what we call migration partnerships with all countries which are on the southern flank of the Mediterranean. And we were actually unhappy that it took so long, that we should have spoken a lot earlier to all our partners. And for us, there's also a bilateral issue. The minister mentioned that we have several agreements which are open. One of them is, for instance, a possible memorandum of understanding bilateral on consular matters, on repatriation, on fighting cross-border organized crime. And yes, this is our immediate neighborhood. And we have to work together in this neighborhood because your challenges are our challenges. You're a country of destination of illegal migration. We have seen now in the consequences of the aftermath of the coup d'etat we saw in the Sahel, again a rise in the numbers. So we cannot leave our partners alone. We need them and they need us. So I believe The answer, the short answer is migration partnership, whether it's the Tunisian or any other example, but to work hand in hand, eye to eye on these matters and speak to all our neighbors in the Mediterranean on this issue, yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? There you go, another one.
When is the South H2 corridor planned to be completed, and
2030, je crois, no?
and is this maybe one stone for Austria to replace Russian gas, or does this project have anything to do with that, or no?
Well, I'll let the beginning of the question.
Let me say, I mean, as far as the date of that is envisaged, it is 2030. And let me say this is not only an endeavor carried out by Austria, Germany, Italy, and Algeria. It is a matter of interest for the whole European Union. Yesterday, in Algiers, a meeting took place on this very subject matter. And it has shown the meeting was co-chaired by the Permanent Secretary of the Algerian Ministry of Energy and the EU representatives in Algeria. That shows you symbolically that this is more than a quadripartite endeavor. It is a European endeavor. It is a subject and a project that is of importance to the whole European Union. And let me add that there are other countries considering joining this endeavor. That shows you how this project is attractive, how it is full of promises in terms of developing renewable resources to the benefit of our European friends and also to our own national benefits.
And to answer your question on whether this will replace, the answer is obviously yes. Green hydrogen, we are in the process of decarbonization one way or another, and we have to prepare now, because if we think about rebuilding or refurnishing a 3,000 kilometer long pipeline, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight that we have the facilities here in Europe to even receive the green hydrogen. So this is something where we have to start now. And you could say partly also because of the Russian attack on Ukraine, it had speeded up processes. And we are getting more serious on that. And we are extremely thankful because Algeria is a very reliable and has been along for decades, extremely reliable source of energy in oil and gas, for us, particularly for Austrian oil. And we build on this reliable partnership to expand in the future in green hydrogen. May I, if you allow, because we have a current situation, the Russian Federation has kicked out 81 European broadcasting institutions, among them 2 Austrians, and I was asked to say something in German, if I informed correctly. Vielleicht nur ganz kurz zu eine Stellungnahme zu der Schließung der europäischen Medien in der Russischen Föderation. Aus unserer Warte ganz klar, wir weisen das aufs Schärfste zurück. Das ist dass man hier eigentlich den Zugang der russischen Bevölkerung zu 81 europäischen Medien einschränkt. Das ist im völligen Widerspruch zu jedem Ansatz, freie, faire Informationen zu haben, pluralistische Systeme zu haben. Das leider Gottes beweist einmal mehr, in welche Richtung der Präsident der Russischen Föderation geht, dass hier Medienvielfalt unterdrückt wird. Wir werden hier als Außenministerium auf jeden Fall sehr klar Position beziehen. Und es wird also die Botschaft schon heute rein zitiert, und damit wir Ihnen auch sehr deutlich persönlich die österreichische Missbilligung und deutliche Kritik dieses Schrittes seitens der Russischen Föderation mitteilen. So, I just gave a statement now. Das ist eine Affaire aktuelle.
Thank you very much. And this concludes the press conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
médias européens, dont ORF et OE24, deux chaînes de